was that the actor of want to be? I think Doc Kelly was the mayor.
I'm gonna call a special meeting to notice. First up, we have Ellie Lemke from SEH. You wanna come up to the podium?
Yes, thank you. I am Ellie Lemke with SEH. Thank you guys for giving SEH the opportunity to come interview for your consultant city engineering position. I live in Hibbing there, and I work in the Virginia, Minnesota office for SEH. I'm a civil engineer there, professional civil engineer. And if SEH were appointed your consultant city engineer, I would be your first contact there. And then I will let Matt and Mike introduce themselves as well.
Hi, good evening, afternoon, evening, whatever it is, mayor and council. Yeah, I'm Matt Reed. I am a senior professional engineer, project manager with SEH, work in the Virginia office. I've actually been with SEH for just about 22 years. Actually, spent my whole career with SEH. Last 12 years, I've been in the Virginia office. Prior to that, my previous life, I spent 10 years in the Brainerd office. Got an opportunity to transfer back this way. I actually grew up in Coleraine. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, I don't know, but I graduated from Greenway High School in several years ago now. So I've got an opportunity to come back, and I've been here now for 12 years. I am involved in a number of different types of projects. My primary focus is on the municipal side, city engineering type work. So again, looking forward to help support Ellie and the SEH team if we get the opportunity to move forward as a city engineer.
Hi, everyone. Mike Larson, again with SEH. I've been with SEH for about 15 years. The 25 years prior to that, I was at the IRRB. My work for SEH is very similar to what it was at the IRRB. I put funding packages together. I work on governmental affairs. I work on developing projects, especially in small communities. Again, done that for 40 years. We have a little different philosophy at times than other engineering firms. For at SEH, we have funding people who are experts at funding, and that's what we do. A lot of firms have engineering folks that do that. I'm not saying they don't do a good job, but they have other jobs, we don't. We also employ 3 lobbyists, and we use them to help find state money, bonding bill money, make some changes with legislative verbiage, whatever we need. But I want to always end with this, that all the work I do, all the work our lobbyists do, comes free to our clients that we work for. So, thank you. I'll turn it back to Ellie.
So we realize we have limited time and we want to make sure we address all of your guys' concerns. So is there anything specific you guys would like us to discuss further?
There were a few questions. How about like mileage to and from? You
Yeah.
Charge mileage?
We do charge mileage both for distance and time. For the general city engineering contract we would be under, I'd be the primary person traveling to and from Keewatin and traveling to and from Hibbing.
Okay.
So it would be the time and distance essentially from Hibbing.
Do you guys do any GSI setups and stuff? Like streets and manholes and water shutoffs and stuff like that?
Yeah, some GIS kind of computer
Yes, GIS.
modeling of that. Yes, we do have a wonderful GIS team.
Okay,
And we put together a couple models now for a variety of cities.
what kind of charges with that thing?
That would most likely be a specific project charge that we could negotiate separate from the engineering contract, the city engineering contract, as a separate project.
Okay. What other cities do you represent?
So our office in Virginia, we work a lot with the city of Virginia, the city of Iowa. We do some work in Hibbing as well. I know, let's see, we have the Gilbert Water Treatment Plant, the Aurora Water Treatment Plant. Yeah, go ahead. Matt's got some more experience.
Yeah, I can add on to that. We do a lot of work with a lot of the different communities. We represent the city of Owosso and the city of Virginia as their city engineer currently. But we do a lot of project-based work with a number of clients over across the range, all the way up to Babbitt, Ely, White Lakes, Gilbert, and this way towards hitting Keewatin, or this direction.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. How about, have you done any sewer plants?
Any wastewater treatment plants, I'll let Matt take that one as well.
Sure, I can, yes, we've done, specifically ones that I have been involved in since I've been in the Virginia office, Virginia's. We worked on Hibbings, we have worked on, Lubbock's, Babbitt's, possibly Tower. So yes, we've done a number of different types of wastewater treatment plant projects across the region, and SEH does numerous wastewater treatment plants.
We're working on decommissioning one right now. I'm sure you've done that.
Yes.
How about housing projects? You guys done any of those?
Yes, we've been involved in quite a number of housing projects. Most of our side of doing the housing is we help do the planning, set up the layout, find the funding for the infrastructure, for running the homes and those kinds of things. And we don't work directly a lot up here with the developers, although we will. We do have some operations south of here in Texas and other places where we're more involved directly with the venture capitalists and the actual developers. But here it's primarily with the communities that, my days at the IRRD, we did all kinds of housing back then too. Most of the housing that's done up here.
We got funding from IRRB to tear down the old school up on the hill over here. We're looking at putting a housing project up there in the near future. So, thank you. Anyone else?
I have a question too. Do you have any samples of how your billing is done? Do you itemize? Do you just do hours? I'm kind of curious to see the breakdown on the invoices when we get them.
Yeah, I'll touch on that a little bit and then let Matt finish the explanation. But for the city engineering in general, billing would be by hour, by mileage, at kind of the title rate that person is working at. So a professional engineer would be at their rate for that many hours, graduate engineer at their rate for that many hours. Do you have anything to add? Okay.
Well,
I'm talking about specifying when you work on a project for 2 hours, do you have that itemized on your bill? Okay,
Yes.
that's what I was kind of wondering.
We can set that up in a number of different ways, and that, I think, communicating, what would you like to see in that regard? We can set those invoices up to show whatever you need them to show. So the short answer is yes, the longer answer is we can talk a little bit more about it, see what you guys would like to see, and we can set that up. But typically, on an hourly project, it will show the number of hours that are spent on a various task that we're asked to do. So you should.
Not specifically days then, just
Yeah.
the number of hours.
And dates.
Oh,
We can
okay.
set it up to where you can see the dates that were worked on it as well. Yeah.
Mayor, I have a few questions. Hello. So basically, on your projects, if we were gonna do a street improvement project, you have a professional services agreement that includes whatever your rate's gonna be for that, correct? Then if something comes up, that would be in addition to, if you had to adjust that?
Yeah, for
Okay.
a specific project, we would negotiate kind of the overall lump sum charge, and if conditions change, we would come discuss that with you guys and what that means for that charge. charge.
Okay. And so the mileage rate, that just comes into play if you're asked to come to a meeting that you're not scheduled for? Or how does that mileage rate work?
Yeah, maybe let me just take a step back and do a complete summary of kind of how this will work, or how we typically do it, and we're open to discussing that, of course. From the city engineering standpoint, we set up a contract with you, all based on the hourly, as Ellie mentioned before, hourly mileage. If we're asked to come to a meeting, if we're, whatever the case may be, if we have to come and do a site visit, if we have to go out to a project site that's we're not under contract for a specific project for, that would all be itemized and billed under the city engineering contract. If we move ahead and do a project, so if you guys come to us and say, hey, we're running a wastewater treatment plant, for example, we would negotiate a specific contract with you for that project, which would be all inclusive, whatever the cost that we anticipate for the project. That would include any mileage that we would anticipate, things like that.
Okay.
So that would all be part of what, I guess I'll call it a negotiation process for a specific project. Does that make sense? Did I get what you're asking now?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. And then did you have in here that you would come to one meeting a month? At no charge? Or,
Yes.
okay. I think I saw that somewhere.
Including the mileage, or
Yeah.
not charging for the mileage.
Okay. Obviously, we're looking at, potentially having some more land available to do some development, infrastructure, probably, water, sewer, whatever, so. And then the GIS, obviously, we want to implement that, because we don't have that set up yet.
I can touch a little bit more on that. We actually just completed, and would be happy to show you an example of what we did. We've done a number of these. We just completed manholes, pipes, all that for the city of Virginia. So we just got done with that, actually. So that was a pretty extensive effort, and it's going to be a very nice tool to have moving forward. But that was again, when you're talking about cost, things like that, it depends on what level of accuracy and things like that. But yeah, we just finished it and we'd be happy to share that. I'm sure that I have to clear that with the city of Virginia, but I'm sure they would have no problem.
And then I just had one more question. How are you going to evaluate what we've done, going forward? Like, if you were chosen as the engineer, how are you going to evaluate what we've done in the city and moving forward, and at what, would that be a cost, or is that just something that you would do?
We would want to get a good handle on what's going on, and that would be part of what our commitment to the city would be, that we would take a look at that stuff and just familiarize ourselves with what's been going on. No, we would not charge for that.
Okay, that's all I have.
No, I'm
Suzie, you good?
Yeah.
I'm good. Yep. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Did you have any questions?
Nope, you just asked me.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
much. Good to see you.
Thanks for coming.
You too.
Did you want to let him know that we're going to make a decision next week?
No, I didn't say
Yeah, we might want to let them know so that they know at the meeting, maybe. Because we'll do the resolution probably on Wednesday. We'll pass the resolution on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hello. Is this different than what we got?
Yeah, yep. So these slides just need to go along.
Okay.
So this is different Oh, yeah. Yep. So yeah, this is different than the proposal that the city received.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeremy.
Just waiting for my key. Good evening, Mayor and Council. You all know me very well, so I'm Jeremy, with now out of the Hibbing office. So the package, just FYI, is just to kind of follow along as I kind of present a couple different things. It is different than the proposal, so can I clarify a little bit more about it? So, I'll let Gail introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Gail Leverson. I'm the Senior Funding Specialist at Woodside, the Funding Department. I have about 25 years of experience in grant writing and financial planning, and work very closely with our engineers and our cities. So nice to meet you tonight. Thank you.
On the second page, so slide 3 just kind of shows, it says the Keewatin team. I just wanted to mention Eric Welsh was also on the proposal in the cover letter that we received. So he's one of our Woodseth's VPs, and he's a civil engineer at the Baxter office. I've met him. He's been with Woodseth for at least 20 years. So his role as the principal in charge is to essentially help me and help the city with any questions that come up, to just kind of oversee everything, make sure that we have the resources we need moving forward, so it's not just me, and just kind of oversee quality control. So that's kind of his role. The slide below that is all the different disciplines that Woodseth has in-house. It's a full-service firm: civil engineering, surveying, GIS, wastewater, water resources, funding application assistance and administration, and as well as architectural services and other disciplines. So a wide variety there. The next slide, a couple slides just kind of show some location maps. So Woodseth has 12 locations, mostly through greater Minnesota. There's one in North Dakota, but it's, greater Baxter, Alexandria, Hibbing, Bemidji, Wyoming, Mankato. A lot of smaller communities is kind of who they work with. The slide below that, so on the left, it just lists a handful of communities that Woodseth has had long-term relationships with, 20, 30, 40 plus years as their appointed engineer. On the right, just a little map that shows Keewatin's location in respect to a handful of other kind of more local communities that Woodseth is currently the engineer for. Most of the cities, like I said, that Woodseth works with have populations of about 1,000 people. So that's kind of the bread and butter, if you will. So on the next one, slide 7. So again, as the primary engineer, as I've done in the past for the city, I will do my best to attend both council meetings a month. And, unless something comes up, I always make sure that I email or call the city, make sure that they're up to date on what's going on. So there's no charge for that. There's no monthly retainer fee. There's no charge for routine phone calls or, funding consultations and things like that. We do that so that we can maintain that communication and make sure that if there's any questions, the city doesn't have to hesitate to give a call or reach out. And then obviously with council meetings, there's that communication as well. So one of the many services that I'll just touch on is GIS data and asset management. So this is something that Woodseth essentially can set up for the city, but then it's the city's data. It's not proprietary. The city has the keys to it. Its city staff can actually even play a part in doing some of the inventory. But what the GIS is you can map out and keep track of all your streets and alleys and streetlights and signs and anything you want, basically, you can customize it. So, and what the tool is there for is that it can help you do some long-term planning for reconstruction or maintenance of roadways, for example. So that's sort of what that's for. Some of the other services that, again, I'll just touch on. Your proposal has more detailed information on some of the other areas, but land surveying. So we have survey capabilities out of Baxter, Bemidji, and Hibbing. Water resources engineering, so obviously the city has discussed, their water lines in town and water quality. Which has engineers that are specifically water resource engineers, they would be the ones that would help me and the city make decisions, moving forward. Just like wastewater, they're complicated, intimidating, and expensive projects. So those folks would be the ones to really help the city through that. Architecture is another one, and in contrast to some of the other engineering firms, this is a unique discipline that WITSEF has. Right now with the recent acquisition of ARI, they used to be more engineer heavy, now they're kind of 50-50. They have a lot of civil engineering engineers and they have a lot of architects. So this can be for reconstruction or upgrading city halls, public works, fire halls. I know that there's been a lot of roof replacements on the fire hall, for example, things like that. So, and then last but not least, I'll just touch on streets and alleys. You're familiar with all, the cost estimates that I've given the city in the past and, a street conditions map and things like that. With WITSEF, we can try to take that to the next step and see if we can start prioritizing those projects and get the funding in place and make something happen. So in summary, we provide a lot of services for a variety of projects, but like most smaller communities, the driving force is the funding. So with that, I'll turn it over to Gail quick to just talk about the funding piece of it.
Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, Mayor and City Council, I'm happy to be here tonight to meet with you. Our WITSEF, our funding department, really strives to make good projects affordable for our cities. And so we want to work hand in hand with what you need. We'll work with street projects. We work very commonly with water and wastewater projects. We help them finance park improvements, trails, streetscapes, city buildings. And then we also follow up our funding assistance with grant administration and all of the services. We try to fit it in with the services of what you need in your office staff. So sometimes it's labor compliance and payroll review, and sometimes it's doing grant reports and draw requests, and we do all the paperwork in our office and we email it over to you. You just have to sign it and return it. So we just try to make it as seamless as possible. And the next slide has some successfully funded projects listed. And I looked for ones that really were similar to Keewatin. And funding some of these key needs, these water and wastewater and road needs, has to do with the median household income and the population of the city. So for instance, the first one in Dawson, Minnesota, we worked with them on water, wastewater, and street project. They have a population of 1,400, so it's on the smaller side. Worked with PFA, have 5.8 million in loan money, 1%. 9.7 million in grant money to help out you done. The city of Iowa is another one. They're less than 1,000 residents, but they have a median household income of 40,469. That's really close to yours, which is 46,000. But we worked with them on two projects. One was a water wastewater project, which we were able to get 4.1 million in loan from rural development and 4.6 million in grant from U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. We worked with them, and they told me out of the blue one day, they said, well, our dream is to have an industrial park in town so we could have business development. And so we worked hard with them on that. They had one business along with them there. We were able to get 2 grants on that. So it was the industrial park project. And over in Clearbrook, the unique part of that one is we were able to put together 4 different funders to help them do their project. Water, wastewater, street project. The 4 funders made it affordable for them. That's what we have to do, is keep them going so we can get it done for you. One resource they used was small cities money. And that's completely grant money, and Keewatin is also eligible for that at 53.24% LMI. So that's a resource we would look at for you as well. On the second to the last slide here, I'll try to go quick, Jeremy, but These are the funding agencies we work with every day. You see all these logos here, and they look familiar, but those are my colleagues, and I talk to the funding leaders every day. So, using MinDOT for street projects, using rural development for fire hall improvements, or using PFA's funds for forgivable loans and for loans. And with, these are all acronyms I use all the time, and that's what we look at for some of the things that you're thinking about. And the last slide, I'd say ZITSEF has secured more than 380 million in the cities that we work with. And just in the last 4 years, we've secured 180 million. So we just keep on plugging away. So, back to Jeremy.
Like I mentioned before, I would be your main line of communication, but just keep in mind that when you go with WISET, you get all of the services and all of the different engineers and employees that you have. So you really have a lot of resources to reach out to. And I'll just leave it at this. I've gotten to know this city and this council over the past several years, and I would love the chance to keep working with you guys. I'll just leave it at that. Last couple minutes maybe for any questions that you have, either for me or Gail or WISET in general.
Have you worked on any of the housing projects?
What's that?
Housing projects
Housing
at
projects.
all?
You know what, there's a lot of different housing projects out there. We would have to work, workforce housing is a grant program for smaller cities. If you have a workforce need in town. We have worked with cities on expanding their water and wastewater. Of course, that's not really a big grant project. Our survey department does a lot of work with them and getting the flats ready to go. Rehab, we do small cities rehab projects. 6 projects going on right now. So those are other areas too.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yep.
Jeremy, the council will be making their decision on December 27th meeting.
That's next month here.
Ready for me?
You're good, Al.
Sure. So, I'm Alan, Benchmark, we've been the engineers since I worked actively since the 90s before my time at Benchmark. I acquired Benchmark from Donnie Flanagan in 2017, so it's been about 6 years. We have a staff right now with 12. I'd be pretty honest with our clients. As you're aware, recently lost the staff or two to some competitors and keep that open. So we're currently in the interviewing process. I do have a couple interviews set up. So I'd like to serve as your city engineer again. We currently serve with County Keewatin, 88 communities across the Iron Range, 100% local based. We try to help every community that we're in by giving back to the communities. We don't charge for attending council meetings, mileage, postage, that kind of incidentals, miscellaneous phone call. We don't charge for helping out with grant writing, that kind of stuff. We don't have the you call grant writing expert on staff, but it is our engineers, so it is our people that work on these projects that help put the grants together. We'll help with lobbying, meeting with lobbyists, meeting with senators, meeting with your representatives on if there's a project that you have a need for that. We've helped secure a big chunk of the money for your current wastewater plant project. And that was 100% funded for Keewatin's portion of the project.
Worked on many housing developments, in Mount Iron, I've been with, several Unity 1 and 2, Woodland Estates, and their Salt Forest Grove, a lot of them have been successful. There's, in the city of Virginia, we've done several plats and housing developments there as well. The one on the north side, I'm trying to think of the name off the top of my head. Currently, we're contracted to do one in Chisholm for the upcoming year. We're also working on one on the North Shore with a developer, and also in Vail Township with a developer. So that's directly for the owner to do. We try to keep our rates low, and we do that by, when we have a bigger project, we don't have, we call say like an architect on staff or a wastewater treatment specialist. We work with the community to select and bring in that vendor for that specific service. We don't have geotechnical engineers, but we'll source and try to find the cheapest option for each project. Again, like I said, we're currently in the hiring process. Been kind of running around a lot the last couple of weeks, trying to cover what we've got and helping all the communities across the range, and I'll stand for questions if you have any.
And I just was noticing the rate, so you're doing it the same based on the project bid, okay.
Yes, we, again, charge, so just for clarification, we don't charge for like the meeting or simple questions and stuff. It's if you ask us to put something together, whether it be a survey for a lot, to fixing up a street, there'd be a whole package that's needed to go for that. That would be a charge for that service, but not city engineering, pending reporting on it every month, that kind of thing.
Mayor, I have a question. Alan, since you have been the city engineer for Keewatin, where do you see the future of the relationship between the engineer firm and the city of Keewatin going forward?
As far as,
Projects.
projects? Sure, so if Benchmark selected to continue as your city engineering firm, we don't push projects unless they're requested. So if you want to evaluate streets, we evaluate streets, put together the list of the streets we would recommend to do, or projects we would recommend to do, bring them forward. The city council ultimately makes the decision on what actually happens. So if you have a priority list, we can help put a priority list together and chase them project funds down, find the funds, you do the project, obviously, when you can afford them. That's kind of the road we take with a lot of the cities, unless they have a specific task or goal, different, a master plan they want to follow. I think quite a few years ago, or been two councils ago, I don't think anybody would have been on the council, we put together a capital improvement plan. And you could took it and thrown it out 2 years later because nobody, it's never stuck to, you know. So it was probably more than the city, to be fair, more than the city wanted to bite off or could afford every single year. Trying to stick to that plan. It's probably a little too aggressive what that council had put together. So it's something, it's got to be a give and take where another capital improvement plan is put forward. What's in the city's stomach every single year? Obviously, there's grant funds that can play into that, bringing forward or delaying projects. But be happy to help try to find them funds, make it more affordable.
So I have one question. So if your firm is not selected, how would you work with the firm that is regarding the wastewater plant?
Oh, yeah, okay, I misunderstood your question. So yeah, we would do what we can to help finalize, close out. We're not gonna bill you. We have to come and report at a council meeting, still kind of moving forward. we wanna, I guess, leave on good terms.
Mhm.
We wanna leave our best impression, so maybe we can come back in the future and
Mhm.
have an opportunity to work for Keewatin again. So we do our best to kind of pass these over. If you want us to close out the projects we're on, like stay on them until they're 100% closed out, we'd be happy to do that. If you want a breaking point, we could try to work out a point to like hand over where they're at. That's, unless you guys see a different fit.
Okay. Thank you.
Good job.
Early.
I mean, some of it-
Oh, there it is.
You can move right in, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Hi, I'm Lee,
Hi.
Lee Carlson with Bolton and Josh here. I work out of our Duluth office and then manage our Duluth, Hibbing, and Grand Rapids office. And I currently work out of both the Hibbing and Grand Rapids locations. Can I go into the chair? So we did bring just some, I'm sure you got our proposal, which your copy that's in here, but then some other handouts on our funding group and how we operate. Steer, S-T-I-E-R.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have an extra if you want it, otherwise I can keep it.
You can keep it.
Maybe Billy wants it for her desk. The public utilities board. Pardon me? If you want to pen.
We currently are serving the Hibbing Municipal Utilities and Aurora, also International Falls, for local communities. So we are very interested in Keewatin. We'd like to take on the role of consulting engineer for the town. I think we can bring a lot to the plate with our funding, with development. So we were founded in 1949, Mankato, St. Peter area. That's kind of our roots, if you will. We started in southern Minnesota and we just kind of slowly infiltrated north. But municipal engineering is what we do. I think we do it quite well. Our bread and butter, as I say, is smaller communities like Keewatin. Bringing funding to them to redo their infrastructure. So there's a lot of communities with a lot of need out there in Minnesota, and so I think we've done a very good job at helping them move forward. So we've been in the Northeast since 2016. Two additional communities we're working with is Two Harbors and Silver Bay, but we are starting to have a good influence, positive influence, I think, in this area. So.
I have some questions. How do you charge for mileage?
We don't.
How about council meetings?
We do not. So our rate structure is our hourly rate when we're working on project work. That's what we build. But as far as day-to-day, answering questions and stuff like that, we don't invoice for that.
And I think in our proposal, we had no charging for 24 and 25 for council meetings. They had special meetings that would pop up. And then we offer up to 10 hours of discounted services. Should it be needed. It's only, if used, you can use it. It's I think at $100 an hour. So Into that, we also will not charge for the transitional services going from their current engineer to us should you choose us.
So whether that's cataloging as-built and reviewing current projects underway, we don't invoice for that. That's on us.
In addition to that, in the proposal, we also have that CIP discounted rate and also GIS services for mapping. So that helps you.
Yeah.
And the CIP, I do think is the foundation of any funding opportunity. There's a lot of money out there, probably more than there's ever been, but it's also more competitive than it's ever been. And so when you're filling out funding applications, you can't just have a back of the napkin idea. You gotta have some thought out plan. And so having a CIP that, hey, we've thought about our needs, we've identified them, this is our top priority, this is why, it really helps bolster that funding package. So I think we do funding very well because we understand that. We understand the legwork that has to go in and aren't afraid to have that conversation that, hey, maybe there's a little bit more expense up front, but it's gonna pay dividends on the back end. So, if you can put 10 grand in up front on some legwork, if it pays $1 million, that's a pretty good return on your investment. So.
How about big projects in the area?
Big projects in the area, so we were just successful helping a community of ours secure some large funding through the IRRB for an industrial park. So that was something we were integral to, just being reactive to them and helping position the city for that funding instead of, I think we were turning things around in a couple of days, just so we were putting the ball constantly back in their court.
Was that the Aurora project?
Yeah.
Quite impressive. My next question was IRRB, but you've worked with them, because that's big up here for us.
Yep, we're definitely building a positive relationship with them and bringing a lot of tools to the table to help them move things forward with some of their communities.
We're looking to tear down our old plant, decommission it. Still working on that, and then we're gonna tear down the school up here, and we'll be looking for hopefully some kind of housing we can put up there. Are you familiar with that?
We are. We do housing studies in-house, and so that is one thing with Bolton Inc. is we're full service. Very rarely do we have to partner with another firm to get expertise. We don't have all that in Duluth or the Northeast specifically, but in Minnesota for sure. And so I'm constantly bringing those partners in. I'm not the expert on everything, I don't pretend to be, but we have the experts on staff. So, and I'm not afraid to bring them to you in person if needed, so. But yeah, if you're looking to do housing, I mean, having a housing study, I don't know if you guys have that yet, but that's one of the first steps is everyone needs housing, right? But what type of housing? And so having that plan in place that says we need senior housing helps go to the IRRB and say, this is the need, we did the study, we know, right? You're not investing in something with risk.
Yes, I have a question. So on your projects, if we were going to do a street project, what is your fee for engineering or coming up with the plan for the street project? There's infrastructure needs, or do you do a lump sum on the project, or is it by the hour, or how do you?
Typically, what we would do is you put together cost estimates, and typically there's a percentage of cost estimate that you put down. It's pretty standard throughout the industry, depending upon where it's at, around 18%.
18%?
Yeah, and then in addition to that, you're going to have geotechnical.
When we start there, but we do hourly not to exceed.
Yes.
So
Okay.
if we say it's 200,000, I mean, it is a little bit of a guess, right? And so if we don't use all that 200,000, we don't get charged.
Correct. It's up to that limit.
And so council authorized 200, if we had to exceed that, we would come back and explain why we went over and then have that discussion.
So it's
We went-
18% of the project cost,
Typically,
basically, okay.
yeah, depending upon it, if it gets larger, then, your percentage would come out.
Okay. And you would come forward with change orders and things like that requested or needed, okay, for the project?
Try to catch those in the design part, but,
Right.
construction, you just never know what's
Mhm.
been buried.
Okay,
I like to build into my contracts too, some sort of allowance too, so that way we're not coming back and we bonded for this much, we don't have another 100,000. We can have some contingency built in.
Yeah.
It saves a lot of headaches in the middle of construction when we're not just sitting there and we're trying to figure out what to do. So.
okay. Have you worked with assessments on streets and all that too?
Very.
That's all the questions I have. Oh, I guess I have another question. Are you like appointed as engineer for like Aurora and the other cities you had down?
Correct. All the ones
Hibbing
we
Public
listed were-
Utilities?
they're
Okay.
designated.
You're designated, okay.
So it's Hibbing Public Utilities,
Mhm.
not the city.
That's all the questions I have.
You guys are representing Calumet, or is it Marble?
Marble.
Marble.
And it's two different projects. One is we're working with Calumet on an infrastructure project for them and potentially water treatment. In addition to that, we're also working with Calumet and, excuse me.
Yeah.
Marble, Marble Infrastructure, sorry. And then with Marble and Calumet on wastewater. So there's two separate projects that we're working on, Marble and then Marble Calumet.
So they're in the area.
Yes, you're in the area. We have an office in Hibbing. We have 3 staff full-time there. I'm there 2 days a week, hoping to grow that in 2024. So Hibbing is kind of the next area that we're focusing on, just because there's a lot of need and there's a lot of opportunity.
Okay.
Susie, you got anything?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Dean, the council will be making their decision on the December 27th meeting.
Okay.
Very good. Have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks for coming.
Is it okay to come or is it closed meeting?
No, regular council.
Thank you.
Okay, all up on, discuss revised pay request 17 and change order 4 for USA.
Sure. Starting to have this in your packet. Okay, so this is the same pay request we looked at last, meeting. This is revised amount, taking out the $7,000 for the utilities that were near the railroad crossing. This change order would only be for repairing electrical feeds in our lift stations. That was $5,792.26 that would increase the contract amount. And then the pay request reflects taking that amount back out. So it's reduced to $13,770.36. So we're still holding retainage of $21,897.04 on the project.
So once again, Ellen, no, this is a pay request and then the change, so you're putting those together? That's what you're requesting from us?
So, correct.
Or is it just the 13,770.35?
Both.
It's both, two separate. Okay.
Add the change order to the contract.
For number
And then
17.
second would pay
Number-
for it.
And then 4. Okay,
If that makes
I
sense.
just wanted to make sure I was understanding it.
I had a question.
Yes.
So what happened to the other amount that's this one?
So,
Down?
yeah, it's not gone.
Oh.
They were still asking for it. They're
Okay.
trying to get their ticket information.
Okay,
This amounts the amount for just the one part of that last chamber that we had at the last meeting. So
okay,
it's reduced by that amount that they have for the damage or they're asking for additional time that it took them to install the utility along, working around on a man gas main and then the fiber line in there that, in that area. They realized you guys want to see a ticket for the work. He's digging for that. He didn't have to meet in today, but it was from 2 summers ago, basically. He's looking through his records, trying to find that. Yeah, so at the last meeting, you requested we take that out and bring it back, and that's what I did.
so what was the holdup, I guess, the delay of even submitting that? Do you know?
The change order, he didn't really have an answer to me for why we didn't get it till just recently, so.
USA, I'm guessing.
it's the utility system.
Okay. So we need 2 motions here then. So I'll make a motion to approve change order 4 in the amount of $5,792.26 for the Keewatin National Force Main Lift Station project.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
And then I'll make a motion for pay request number 17 for the Nashwauk Force Main Lift Station project in the amount of $13,770.36.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. Number 3, under the agenda, adopt a resolution to hire Andrew Labarge for Keewatin Fire Department.
Mayor, if you look on the resolution, I have the wrong year on effective December 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution with the change of the year.
I'll support.
Further discussion?
Yeah, I have a few questions. Once again, I'm not understanding, and it's been asked, I don't know, probably 5 times now, for a roster for the bylaws to be brought to the council, and that's over 10 months now. And we haven't gotten anything. So I'm not really understanding why it constantly is dismissed, these questions. Have no idea what when you're hiring someone for the fire department, I don't have any idea where the bylaws are and what the requirements are. Yeah, I'm just real confused as to why we can't get any of that information.
The roster's been sent, the bylaws are on file here, and the city attorney is looked at the national SOGs and SOPs that we need to adopt. So, but we have to write them specific to our fire hall. They can't be specific to the national fire hall. It's just a guide of what we need to do. So.
Okay. Because I haven't seen any of that, and usually the bylaws are accepted by the council as they are for the library.
If there's any change in there, there is, yes.
Oh, there was no change at all in the bylaws, so we didn't see them. So we don't even know that there were changes or wasn't.
There hasn't been any changes. The only change that there was to the bylaws was when we accepted to do ride-alongs. That was the only change to the bylaws.
Okay. I still would like to see them, I guess, can I get a copy of the bylaws? Because when I had looked at the League of Minnesota Cities, there was a lot of stuff in the bylaws that needed to be changed. And if our city attorney didn't feel that they needed to be changed, I just want to look at them myself and see, I'm a bit concerned on a few things. And I was questioned with driving records and people driving the city equipment, and it was brought up to me, and that's why I'm like, requested it once, didn't happen last March. Then requested it for the roster when, and I know the roster changed again with Zeb and Mason and all them out.
Yep.
And I know you need people. I totally understand that. I'm not against hiring anyone, but I would like to know what our requirements are as far as, now we have a new policy in place. With the new policy in place, if they're gonna be getting schooling at 2,000, 3,000, some of it you said might be paid for, might was the word, some of it won't be. Well, then they all have a policy, you know, in place, signed by each of them. And from what I've understood, no, there's no policies given out up there. So that's why I'm just really confused as to what's going on.
The state pays for fire 1 and 2.
Okay,
We don't even, the bill, we'll get the bill from the trainers. We're currently doing a fire 1 and 2 class now. They'll send us the bill, we send it to the state. Upon completion, the state pays all of it. We don't even see.
is that from that budget and management then? Is
No.
that grant?
No, this is outside of that. The grant that we get, that's $220 per firefighter that we can use. That's for, so we get 4,400, say if we have 20 people, just for sake of math.
Mhm.
So we get $4,400 that we can use for educational and training purposes. So we do first responders, everybody needs to be certified in first responders. So first responder course is say $770 roughly. So that can come out of that education and training budget. If we bring somebody in to do, say, a burn box as a training, then we can use that to pay for that training budget. If we were to purchase any DVDs or books or anything like that, we can use that for that training budget. So the state runs on a 2-year, which means if we spend that $4,400 this year, next year we're allotted a separate, an additional training fund, and then if they have an extra pot of money, you put in for whatever you want. Like this last year, we put in for $8,334 in training materials, and it was all covered. Like we didn't see bill, nothing, just goes to the state. State pays it. Because there's like, I don't know how many departments, but there's certain departments that don't use their training funds or all of their training funds, and then it just stays in a pot. And then if you, say if we wanted to bring in and do airport training with Hibbing, and we wanted to split it, and say it was $15,000, if they had the funds for it, before we even do the training, they would say, yes, it's covered, go ahead and do it, and then we won't see a bill. So, I mean, they run on the state runs on a 2-year funding cycle, but that is outside of the fire 1 and 2 that's automatically paid for as long as they pass the class. Now, if somebody fails and doesn't complete
And they
their stuff,
Yep,
then
they have.
it would cost $1,500. And as I understand, because I've asked this before, if we could have them sign some kind of contract saying if they don't pass, they would have to pay it back, because we are a volunteer fire department. Evelyn's just had this happen with 3 members. 3 members enrolled in fire 1 and 2, none of them passed. All 3 of them quit, and he was still responsible for the $1,570 some that it cost. And so that's where we run into problems, but he went to his attorney, asked if it would be possible for them to sign something saying they would pay it back, and they said absolutely not. So, but no, so, I mean, that's where we run into an issue, so, but I can send the updated roster, I mean, we send it monthly
well,
to.
where are you at now even?
With this one, it would be 18.
Oh, it still is up that high.
Yeah, well, and I think we're gonna lose another one the end of the year here, but it'll be 18 months. Huh?
You say it about that.
Roughly, I mean, it seems to be between like 14 and 18 is where we hover. But we have a lot of guys that work shift work, and so it's really, it's hard. I mean, with you, Beth and Billy were at a meeting on Monday night, and I think we had, 8 people, something like that, because we had 10 people out working shift work, so. But monthly, we send our updated roster to Itasca Dispatch, because they send out pages to our cell phones. So we keep our roster up to date, so I can just send it to Beth too, so. But the bylaws, the fire department bylaws should be on file here as well as the relief, because they're 2 separate bylaws. So,
And then we have that year end, or the beginning of the year, the driver's license check on all employees also, right?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
they can do it whenever,
I think it has to be done, yeah,
so.
for all employees, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the relief bylaws are through, I mean, we have to update
That's
them every so
Sterling.
often, that's Sterling Company. The fire department bylaws are the ones we need to move over to SOPs and SOGs, but we gotta find the time. And to be perfectly honest with,
What is SOG and,
SOPs are standard operating procedures.
Oh, okay.
And SOGs are standard operating guidelines. So procedures are ingrained, like those are, you can't budge on those. Guidelines are, you can, it's
Fit 'em.
interpretation.
Yes.
Isn't this information already in the hands of the city attorney? Aren't you waiting
Yes,
for Brian?
yes, so they have so we have like Grand Rapids just redid theirs, Nashwauk redid theirs, they went to SOPs and SOGs. Because the League of Minnesota Cities came down and said, instead of doing bylaws, this is the way that everybody should go. We just have to sit down and take our information and say, okay, yep, well, we need to insert it here, but
well, I
We
remember
have-
you talking about that
we
this
have
summer with
probably, let's
Nashua.
say, 6 or 8 guys, I would say, that have anywhere from 1 to 3 years of training who can't be on this committee or don't know enough to be on the committee. We have the older guys that do pretty much everything, I mean, like Randy, Carnes, myself, Dustin, I mean, we're down there constantly doing different things. So to get time to sit down and make sure that our SOPs and SOGs are exactly the way that we need them to be. I mean, and it's down to, this is of course to go back if anything were to ever happen and we had an incident report, that for insurance purposes, they'll flag our SOPs and SOGs and say, well, it wasn't in your SOP that they shouldn't have done that. So we want to make sure that they're as specific as possible and it's just take time to comb through them. And like I said, to be perfectly honest, there's just not a lot of time for a small department. So, I mean, I think we're at like 100 and we're just shy of 150 calls, I think, this year. So.
No, that's information I didn't know, so
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, I mean, and I don't mind people asking, absolutely, I mean, we're pretty much an open book down there. I mean, anybody can come and tour, I mean, like I said, we're hosting Fire 1 and 2 class now. So, they started last night with their orientation. And then, they do most of their class online. They do it in a hybrid now. They're reducing that as well. It used to be, when I took class, was 4 months, had to go Tuesdays, Thursdays, and some Saturdays and Sundays. And so now they're going to hybrid because they can't get people to go through classes. So,
Tell him.
because of schedules.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kathy,
Any further discussion?
what was the motion for?
To
Oh, to
hire
hire, okay.
Andrew Labarge. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Next up, discuss 2024 budgets for general.
And public utilities? Could we do public utilities first?
Sure.
Thank you. Mayor, the council receives the public utilities budget in their packet, and Billy Fowler, the public utilities clerk, is present here, and she's at the podium. Do you guys have any questions for our public utilities clerk?
I do. Okay, I'm gonna start with the revenue.
Okay.
So, under your utilities, so 68,100, is that electric?
Sewer
That's sewer. 68,200,
and water,
300,
electric,
and then garbage?
garbage.
Okay, so on all of these, it has 34,000 as the class code.
Charges for service.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why are they,
That's what each section brings in on the bills every month.
okay. So it's kind of confusing because I mean, would it be better if it said water or something on there or sewer or?
I think it's just because it's under the water, 68,100 is water.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's clarification for you, good enough?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, and so basically the sewer charges coming in, that's 245, and that's just on what we're billing right now per month?
Yep.
And what is that rate? Is it 40?
I think sewer is 31, but that's not.
39?
39? I don't even know.
I can't remember because she.
39 and 15 is the separate charge for,
Well, the 15 is on different.
right.
Different, so it's 39 then,
I think
okay,
it's 39.
39. And then how did you come up with the budget? Just, how, did you multiply it by every account then? Or how did you come up with 245,000?
I pretty much look at what we brought in this year.
Okay. So how many accounts do we have, do you know?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Okay, so,
And that's gonna be different charges, I'm sure, for commercial and. No,
they get charged the same, don't they?
yeah, for sure, yeah.
Okay,
But as far as like the sewer improvement, those are gonna be different for apartment buildings and
okay.
bigger.
So the sewer capital improvement, what is that?
That is the $15 charge.
The $15?
That's why I think it says on our bill too.
It is the $15
Okay.
charge.
And then the service charge is the 10?
$10.
Okay. And then how did you come up with those? Did you multiply that by
I
this?
took what we made starting back, I think we switched in June or July to start collecting that.
Yep.
So I took those months, divided it by 7,
Okay,
and then did the whole amount, and then did it for the whole year.
okay. So my theory, and it's just me, if you have 500 accounts and they pay that $15 every month, I would take that and multiply it out because that should be your actual revenue. So if you have 100 accounts and they pay $15 every month times 12. They don't pay that?
Mm-mm.
Why?
Not every account, because there's apartment buildings.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you have all
Okay.
those other ones.
Oh, that are in there?
You gotta
So
do
the
a lot of
bills are,
paperwork.
oh, I see. So if you just did the residential, maybe? I don't know. It's hard to figure that. Yeah, I
It isn't
forgot.
hard to figure when you're in the office and you see all of the numbers, you know, it's,
But I suppose, yeah, with. all the
you
stuff.
understand what I'm saying
Yeah,
because you know
it's not
there's-
just 100 times,
Right.
yeah,
It's, yeah.
okay.
yeah.
But I mean, so basically, we're gonna cover our payment, our bond payment, right? Because looks like that's about what it is,
130,
35, yeah.
35, okay.
So, that's with the interest payment and then the bond and interest, or the principal and interest, I think is about 135.
That sounds great.
Okay, so then what are we doing about the other charges, the OM&R, and how are we gonna be just paying that out of our regular charges for services? You think?
I don't think we ever, yeah.
I don't know. Because there's other charges, so we have,
Your wages.
insurance, and then you have wages, and you have licensing, and you have, so I don't know how, if we just wanna, I mean, how did you guys set that up on the budget? I can't remember, but did you set it up out of sewer for the wastewater thing? Like the insurance and all that?
Oh, I don't know about insurance.
I don't think that we did a line item for insurance. We did the OM&R.
Okay.
And then we also learned of each year.
Oh,
the
yeah,
city
right
of
there,
Keewatin
OM&R, okay.
is responsible
You got that and
for
that.
$12,000 to $14,000
Oh, yeah, for the,
joint sewer
yeah, for those.
checking account.
Lobbyists.
Yeah.
Then the lobbyists, oh, yeah. So then all that is in the OM&R?
The OM&R for 91,000.
Okay, so that's the lobbyist and the insurance and all that, right? You think, or? It's hard to. I think so?
But now this is an estimate.
Right. Right, because we don't know what it's
If our
gonna be. It could be
OM&R is
more.
going to go down now.
Well, that would be a good thing.
Yes,
It's good, because we paid for, I went through every one of these bills.
Okay,
And we paid for tools, for chemicals, for, you
Yeah.
just name it, anything they needed in that plant.
so, okay. All right,
And I also
Well-
see there's some stuff in there on, for vehicle. There was bills in there I see, I don't know what they're charging us.
and so this would be their wages too?
Yeah.
In that
Yes.
91,
Yeah.
okay. So that's, okay, perfect. All right. Okay, so back to revenue then. Let's see. So on the water taxes, we have to pay that out, correct? The commercial water? Commercial, 37,105. And then yeah, that's, you have to pay that to the state, don't you?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
That's at 80 CIP? Nope, that's a different one. That's electric.
Do you have sales tax on here? Or where is that? I mean, that's just basically gonna be an in and out, but how do you account for that on here? Is that in, or is that in the GL?
That's on that sheet of paper, Billy, the one that gets printed out when we print out the bills at the end of the month. And it has how much was for water and how much was the electric. And then, you know how you have that separate sheet that you pay? It tells you what, so that's how you go off of that. At the end of the
Yeah.
month, it gives you it.
But it goes into like a GL, right? Not into a revenue account.
Yeah.
It goes to the GL,
Yeah.
okay. I'm just trying to get my brain back to thinking. Looked at this for a while. And then the garbage, I know we had talked about that before. Are we good on that as far as, we had, because didn't, Susan, you had referenced at one point that we were
We were
behind,
behind.
but are we okay now?
Well, we hadn't changed anything.
No, we didn't, but,
But I don't know what the dollar amount is, because these worksheets don't tell us the dollar amount. So we don't know what revenue for refuse is. I don't know what, it just gives me the full total for 2024. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 109. Is that what
Um,
you're looking at?
Well, no,
100.
I'm looking
Oh.
for the total here. What would be the total number like this one is? The budget was 165
Oh, I don't have that.
and we don't have,
Okay, but, so if you take the refuse, what is that? The collection, 37,300. 109,350. Is that the regular garbage for resident? Yeah, 37,300.
I don't know, I printed this, I printed out all of the
Yeah, oh,
expense.
okay, the revenue one is the 37,300 and it says garbage or refuse garbage collection and it's 109,350.
So that's gotta be what we take in on people paying their garbage.
But is it just the residential? And then what's the 64 gallon recycle? We get, how do we get revenue off of that?
that's those big 6-yard,
Yeah,
Oh,
the big ones.
Okay, so that's the
That's what I'm.
commercial
yeah.
resident or commercial recycle? Oh, okay. I
So you
didn't-
have your 6-yard, I don't know why
Okay.
that one's not, because the school's 8. But the recycle, that is, for the corrugated,
Okay,
and Dan Kelly has one of those. You know,
and
that
then
he
there
gives-
is no 6-yard recycle anymore.
we don't have taken anything in on that, so.
Okay, and then the dumpster 4-yard garbage, those are the businesses. Okay. And then the landfill fees? What is that? That's 8,500.
I wanna say that's probably dumps 2 yards.
2 yards? Okay. I don't know, I know me and Tanya went over this with you guys, but it doesn't have it on here, so that's why I'm kind of like, okay. It doesn't show the explanation. So I don't know, maybe we need to look at do you remember, Tanya? We did a 2-yard and a 4-yard.
And
Yeah, I don't know.
okay, so remember there's a fee on that, like, if they dump. But if
Oh, yeah, that was the extra 25, and we added it to the price of the garbage,
commercial.
commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just took that and added it in instead of having the separate line.
Yeah.
Okay. But do we have 2-yard dumpsters? We do.
Lots of them.
So which one would be the 2-yard then, that residential?
That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
I'd have to pull it and look at it.
Okay, yeah, maybe check that and see, because we should probably change that to say
Yeah.
dumpster 2-yard or something. Okay, and then, okay, well, that's all I had on revenue. Okay, so I just had a question, I guess, on the garbage on the expense side. So,
Down the road.
yeah, does anyone, I don't know if anyone else had any questions?
Okay.
Okay, so if we go to the garbage on the expense side, where is the bill for garbage showing?
It used to be, I think under lease.
Oh, is that leases and rentals?
Why is that on, I don't get that.
Hold on, I got
Okay, well, we used to have it under, a contract, because it was a contract
I was
that
just
we,
gonna say under contractual.
But, yeah, that contractual, yeah, that's another, but it should just say, refuge.
Well, why wouldn't
Fees or
it be
something.
contract though, when it's a 5-year contract we do with them? It's not a lease and rental, that's what I don't.
Lease and rent, yeah.
understand this. But that's,
So
Did
we
we
can
change that?
rename the public utility, we can rename that.
Yeah, rename that.
I think we might have already talked about that.
Okay. Yeah, look at those, because it's on.
Yeah.
I thought you couldn't rename them.
Yeah, you can.
No, did you have to leave them for a certain period of
Yeah,
time
you
for the
can't
auditor?
drop them for 3 years.
If you have
You can
activity
rename 'em.
in one, but you can rename it, yeah.
yeah, you can rename it, but you can't take them off the
Yeah.
list.
I mean, yeah, like, yeah, it would make, I mean, 440, so you might want to add a different number instead of leases and just say, fees, refuge fees or something. I don't know.
Waste management has been under leases and rental.
Okay.
And I think we were switching that.
Okay. And so then, I guess since maybe Susan can answer this question, so all the stuff that comes in is split at a certain percentage for billing? Like say the auditor bill, so you get so much on electric, okay,
It's 15, 15, 15.
okay. Now, is that a good thing to leave it at that, or is that something we should review?
Well, it used to be 10, 10, 10, or 10, 10, 10, and 70. Right? And then it got
70 for
switched.
electric, you mean?
Yes,
Okay,
because electric was taking, was gaining so much more out of it. And so I had made a suggestion to the council to let's switch it up. And then we also took, and you remember when you were here, we were doing transfers of $40,000 every month. And we quit doing that because then we put our savings into an amount that didn't cost us to constantly take it out and put it in and make wages, you know what I mean, back then. So that's why, and I think that you've been able to make savings on the 15, 15, 55, haven't you? To meet your savings, depreciation to cost.
Yeah.
But, so I'm assuming that the 1550 is still balancing out okay for the numbers is what I'm getting at.
okay. Well, according to our guy that came in, we were losing money on
On what one?
electric, or
No,
which-
electric was
garbage
good.
and,
Garbage, yes, I remember that.
sewer.
Well, the sewer, we knew that though,
Yeah.
that is nothing new, Pam, because the
I know.
sewer we had.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm just saying, going forward, because in all reality,
Mhm.
not every bill should be split. If it's a sewer bill, it's.
And they're
for
not.
sewer. Okay, so.
They're not,
Yeah,
are they? No. If it comes in and it's a pump for the water,
it goes
it's
to
just
water,
water.
or if it's a
Yeah.
hydrant, it goes to
Yeah.
water,
Talking
yeah.
like the copier and things like that, like
Yeah.
it's split evenly.
Right.
You know, and things that are multi-use,
Mhm.
where if it's like a shaft or a.
Mhm.
pump
Those
or
are
whatever,
separate.
that's
Okay.
specific.
But I don't know how we would be able to, I mean, because even at the time when Berg was here and talking to us with the sewer, we did make that change then, but we haven't even done it a full year yet to see if it's meshing right. And so I don't know, I'm not a auditor, or someone to be able to tell us if we put the right numbers in, you know what I mean?
You would have to somehow take like your lowest month of revenue and times that by 12 and see if you're even close. Or
Yeah, we-
try to take a median.
We didn't know what them more than like our costs were gonna
Right.
be, and they came awful high. We may
Yeah.
not have enough money in there yet.
Very possibly,
Right.
but I mean, till everything gets on the
Yeah.
straight.
And I think with this auditor, we'll have more of a better picture once we get it
Well, I
done.
hope they dig in more and
Yeah,
understand it
exactly.
more. I
But
mean,
I'm
I
just
hope.
saying if we wanted to fix these numbers
Oh, I
or
see,
not
yeah.
for next year, or just keep going as the same.
And I think those costs are gonna go down significantly.
Mhm.
I
Good.
really do.
Well, I hope
After
so.
the last
I do
meeting
too.
that we had,
Okay.
because when I pushed them on how are you gonna do both jobs. Mark here comes to a meeting now, and he said to me, Beth, I think I can get it done for 4 hours a day.
Well, yeah, it's not an 8 hour
So
day,
if
we
we get
know
it done
that.
4 hours a day,
Yeah, I don't know how it is.
You know, that's
I can't
big
even wrap my
savings to
head
us.
around it. I don't know.
Okay, so basically on your budget, then you have, 26,000 or something over revenue from your expenses. Does it, yeah. So you have more revenue.
There's a couple things.
Is there something that you need to add in or?
Those, electric poles, that we're doing those STU 01, 02, 3, 4, 5. That was just board approved. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Electric poles, those have to be underneath. That, I think the total on that was 13,100.
I made a motion. At the last council meeting, you made a motion to go ahead with the improvements that MPNL
Oh,
had
yeah, yeah.
suggested.
right?
Okay,
And in the motion, you elected to take the funds for that out of savings.
mhm.
So would we put that on the,
When are they doing it, next year?
Well,
Well,
they
we haven't
can't-
heard. It won't
And
be
it's-
this year.
No, okay. Well,
It
If you
still
put
comes
it
out
on
of
there.
an expense. You have to have
Right.
it out of an expense. But all the way over on our budget, you make a note on there where all the way over to the right, it'll say where you used savings. That's all you would have to put on that note on the, it's way over on the far end.
but if we don't have to, they
This
could
year.
add it in then,
Oh, okay.
for next year. Well, why don't you add it in and then see where you are
Okay.
under electrical,
And
wherever it
I'm
goes.
not sure where you want it to be added in.
So it would be, what's
Well, that's an
Electric.
improvement,
There's
capital.
repairs and maintenance.
electric, 68.3?
I'm thinking that would be under capital improvement though, because it's a kind of like an infrastructure to fix those poles. That's a constant upgrade, right, Nikki? What would you call that? What would
Is
you,
it like is it maintenance on these poles
Well, yeah.
or not?
What it is, you're.
but you
it's
have to,
Maintenance, but you're changing it right out. You're bringing in a new pole.
Okay.
and you
also-
have to do it, you know.
Right, they started doing it so long ago
Mhm.
that they quit, and then they didn't even charge us for what they did already, because it was like 7 years ago. So we're finishing the project. You could put it under capital outlay, you could put it under maintenance.
I mean, I don't know, I'd say maintenance more than capital. I don't know. You're not depreciating anything on the poles, are you? Do you do that?
Well, they do a check on the poles and we have to have them. So these poles have to be inspected.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they put the new ones up. It's a constant rotating.
Mm-hmm.
So is that
I
just
don't know. I think it would
maintenance to
just be
keep the
repa-
pole? I guess it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter however you want.
Pole
whatever you-
maintenance?
Well, I don't think it's necessary to break down and put in another.
Well, it would just be under electric anyway. You don't really
Is it-
have
is there
it's
something
repairs,
under there?
maintenance,
There's
machinery,
repairs,
equipment.
Or there's repairs other than
No.
buildings.
Well, whatever
I would-
you
I
feel,
would- yeah.
because you're the one that's gonna have to remember where you put it
Yeah.
if you wanna pull it.
Yeah, I would just add another object code for
Okay.
infrastructure repair. Something.
Oh, God. There's so
That-
many.
Something like that. And how much was that?
13.
13. Okay, so then you still have a little extra, but I don't know, you can, whatever. Otherwise, I think it looks fine.
I have a couple questions for you, Billy, if I could please. It is on the wages.
Okay.
So, they were at 29, and I understand Robin had worked, but Robin still will work occasionally, right? You have 2 raises going in, you and Eric, January 1st. And year to date, you have, as of 12/13, you have done 23,000, and you put these at 20,066.
Right,
That just seems low.
I took mine and Eric's wages with our raises, added in Eric's overtime for what he did about this year.
Average, yeah.
Robin, I put her at 20 hours a month, if that.
Okay, and it just seems low, but that's fine.
Yeah.
If it worked out for you, yeah,
And what are we at year to date? 22?
yeah, and that's,
And
I
so-
think that Robin did work more than,
oh, Robin worked a lot, January,
Yeah.
February, March, so
Okay.
that's where that, I
Yeah,
can
that's-
see where there's,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
but I
she-
didn't think it was that much with the raises, that's all. But if that's how you did it, that sounds good.
I got a question. What's that capital outlay, 36,000 under 68,100?
100. What's the number? Yeah,
That's
500.
sewer.
500? 36,000.
Yeah, that's under sewer.
Is that decommissioning of the sewer plant?
36. It is.
Oh, okay.
Sewer plant decommission.
Decommission, okay. Perfect.
I think the gas could be way dropped though too for that on sewer.
Where's that now?
The gas is at 10,000, it's number 382.
Okay.
I think even fair would be drop at 5,000, but probably more. I really don't know
Well,
because
We're not gonna heat the digester, but we're gonna heat the inside of the
the
where
room,
you walk in,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
the house or whatever.
In a little bit, and I think the other building too.
But then is that
But it
gonna
should
be
still
in next
way
year?
down, because the biggest expense was the
Yeah,
digester
we have to
itself.
keep it on now.
But is that, it's gonna be done, taken out this year, correct?
Yes,
The digester. It's not gonna be there next winter.
hopefully not, no.
So that's why I'm saying $8,000 a month was electric to keep that running. So I think you really could cut that if you wanted to 3,000.
Do
And
we
I-
want, I mean, doesn't matter, we're already over.
We're already.
We're over,
Anyway, so
okay,
yeah,
okay.
we're, with even that, just adding in that electric stuff, I think we're still over 10.
And next year, I think we'll have better numbers.
Yeah,
Well, you'll know for sure.
just in case, you
Yeah.
never know,
We should.
something like, failing. Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you, Billy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming today.
I'd say Merry Christmas, I see most every day. Have a good night.
You
Thank
too.
Billy. So moving on to the city budget.
Yep.
Mayor, I was able to sit with Counselor Bronson and she made some good points as, that we went over in the office. And I did make a change to the wages for the city employees. I did take the overtime for, the street department and add that in. So that was the change there. And then added into a couple of seasonal workers in there as well. So that was the change from the last budget that you received. And Counselor Johnson, I appreciated your input on that. Does the council have any additional questions regarding the budget for the city?
So the casual.
On the
wait,
street
On
department,
the
I
street department,
added,
the casuals were added in at the new
Yep.
$18.
yes.
Okay.
Which changed the FICA and the Medicare and.
Yep, and then the transfer and obviously was increased.
as well.
I guess I just want to make sure that we're not getting casual laborers now and having them work at the shop or doing things that aren't really needed. We have 3 employees and 4 counting Rob. Just as a review of all the timesheets, the shop hours from October 15th to December 15th is 569 hours of shop time. I don't know what that is, but it seems excessive to me. And I think we really need to keep an eye on that. If we have the casual laborers down there working in the shop, rather than, it's my understanding, or I thought that, okay, they were hired to catch up because we need to get the winter things done, the plows and the maintenance all ready to rock on those plows and stuff like that.
They've been working at the rink and stuff like that too.
Well, yeah, after this, not now. This is just from the shop when I tallied everything up.
Well, if we don't get no snow moving forward, there's other
Right.
things they can do, like we can start tree trimming. We have lots of trees that are.
Right,
growing
and
up.
I did contact Beth
You
because
know.
down those trees, and Eric they went down there and looked at them, so I think they're gonna cut those on the, just across south side of me, between the 2 trailers.
And there's up by-
They're in the wires.
Where we're gonna do this pole change,
Hmm.
there's a whole bunch there, go up behind the school. Those lines up there are full of trees.
Right. If that's what they're doing.
Right.
But if they're not doing that, I don't want to pay $18 an hour for someone to be in the
Right,
shop.
right.
That's all the point I'm trying to make.
Is there a law of some sort?
So Counselor Givery, when they do their time card, they put where they're at.
Yeah.
And so,
It doesn't say what they're doing. It just says that they were in the shop. So, and that's just my concern. I don't want to be forking out $6,000 for, or more, whatever it's going to be, when we're already transferring in money and there's X amount allocated. So if they need to come out and move snow, run the trucks and fill them up and go to the snow dump, that's one thing, or whatever. But the seasonal employees, now I believe they're down at the rink, but they're getting paid more than the seasonals.
The rink is being flooded, and it's gonna be 40 degrees on Saturday.
I know.
So I'm not
We
really
keep
sure.
trying to catch up with what we're
Right.
doing,
It's
and
just-
we just.
Yeah.
You can't
You
control
can't.
the weather. I mean,
No,
I don't know.
keep getting
If they
beat
don't
down.
do it, they get criticized. If they
Right.
do it, they're getting criticized. Where's the happy medium here? I mean,
Well,
every
I'm
department
not
is doing.
criticizing that they're doing it. I'm criticizing that we hired someone to do it at the last meeting for $15 an hour.
Yeah.
So that's the person that should be down there doing it,
He-
not the
He's
casual
working
laborers.
nights,
Okay,
and we're having.
I don't think he's
Oh.
had his, drug
He's
not
test or
ready?
all of that
Oh.
stuff
He hasn't
yet.
started yet,
Gotcha.
probably.
Okay.
It's probably
Just so
think
you,
All right.
everyone
we
understands,
won't
yeah.
have to-
He's
And
not
I don't know if
ready.
that, yeah. And then I
Okay.
think you got these vacations too,
Last
they've
time they
been,
were close on that.
like when you're gone, when Beth's gone, and it just, it is what it is. The end of the year, like, after the meeting on Thursday morning, did you call and set up Jalen to go get or have Billy or to go get a drug test and all that? That's what I'm saying. And then you had people in the
Right.
office doing stuff. You were just overwhelmed with stuff going on. I know everyone's trying, yeah, I don't know. I wish I had the answers, but we don't have all brand new people, or, seasonal, or people that have been here for 10 years or something like that. So they're new, they're trying to catch up, understand what's going on. There's a whole bunch of different dynamics that come into the schedule, and I would like to look at that too, because I know that they're broken down where they're at the, school or whatever, different things that are, she got called Okay.
Well, I had talked to Eric about it, and Eric didn't understand that you could just lay him off anytime you want. I go, you can have him for 3 days this week.
Mm-hmm. They
You
don't need to
'em."
work
He goes, well, I didn't know you could
consecutively.
do that, and he didn't know, he's new. We never had casual laborers for the last 2 years, think about it.
Mhm.
I said, yeah, once you run out of work, you can tell them to go home, because you kind of want to do that, because you want to save them for when
When
the
you
snow
need 'em.
comes.
Mhm.
And if they work their 59 shifts, then you don't have them.
Well, that's the
So
point I'm
he's-
trying to make,
he's
because,
working on that.
Up to 40 hours, like it
Yeah.
says in the
right.
resolution.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like it's just more or less a conversation that needs to be had, so everybody's on the same page. That's
He's
it.
gonna start doing that, he told me, he said, I didn't know you could do that. I said, yeah, you can work them 2 days this week and then tell them, I'll call you back when I need you. It
Mm-hmm.
might be 2
Makes
weeks,
Yeah.
might be 3
Right.
weeks.
Yeah.
And that's up to him, he knows what he needs done, and he'll have to take care of that.
So Mayor?
Yep.
At the beginning of the year, these casual laborers will reapply for their position. And in the resolution, will you be stating then that that their employment is on an as-needed basis?
They should probably be told that
Mm-hmm.
when they're hired.
We could do that.
It would be easier than up to 40.
Right. As
It
needed.
And easier
kinda-
for the supervisor as well.
Mm-hmm.
Clears everything up.
Yeah.
And then in reference to the amount of shop time, I do know that Eric and Mike and Brody have been working, preparing for winter and fabricating. So,
Yeah.
equipment for the tractor, and
And the wing on the truck.
there you go.
They didn't send all the parts, they had to wait for reorder.
So all the equipment's ready?
The truck is done, I'm not sure about the tractor. We're waiting for something on that too.
Joystick or something, he thought they had picked up. He said something to me
Yeah.
that it didn't come. I'm like.
And
I
the
don't know.
loader's ready to go?
No,
They got-
it's been a blessing. No, it really has.
Right.
We got-
But if we would have needed it, they wouldn't have been ready.
Yeah.
Because this discussion was had, September, I believe, with our equipment, at our equipment meeting, and maybe we need to have another one.
So we're ready.
So we need to set that up, because now we can start working next year on getting all the summer stuff ready to go. If they need belts for a lawnmower, if they need brooms for the sweeper.
We can get the sweeper ready to go and stuff like that. That's what
Right.
you do in these winters, you don't get any snow. It happens over the years. It's
Yeah.
actually a blessing to get to catch up on stuff.
So yeah, we should set up another meeting, Mickey, for,
We'll put that on your next agenda.
sounds good.
Any more questions on the budget?
Mhm.
No?
Not for me.
Okay, I'll make them. Do you have a resolution? Or are we gonna do that at the next?
We're doing the resolutions at the
Next
next
meeting.
meeting.
Okay.
I do have one question, and if everyone might be able to help me remember. What happened with that 14,000 from that CARES Act money that we had left over? It's not in any of the budgets, but I know it was in the general. What were we gonna do with that?
From
Do you remember?
2023?
Did we have to get, some, did we buy the?
That was 61,000 or 30-some thousand was put with the pump.
What was the total CARES Act money again?
60-some, and there was 14,000 left over
Then we
on one
took-
of the budgets. I can look in January on my old one, but
So we did the pump, then we did some for the O'Brien project.
Yeah,
The
O'Brien.
68.
did we do some for
I
O'Brien?
We
think we
did,
did.
it was $6,900, I know it was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cause we had, but there was something else, it was the O'Brien project, the pump.
Well, then that would show in the project that you used CARES Act money,
It
6,900.
should've, yeah,
Okay.
it should've.
All right, so we could pull the projects.
Well, it would have to be deposited in the project. It's not gonna show
Well,
there
transfer, yeah, I see.
if it's
There
not.
was something
over
If
else.
it's just in the general fund, it's not
Right,
gonna
it's
be
gotta
in
be
the project. yeah.
Or
You
it
had
was in-
When was that?
I had it
2020?
down 5 times.
No,
'Cause
And I
had
thought
it
we
on
were
the scratch
supposed to
paper.
use it by now.
Talked about it before.
For the, you know.
What did
to
it say
fill
in
out.
the audit? Was it in there? I don't remember.
Because we've had this conversation, it's gotta be.
I know we
something,
have,
'cause
but I
because
can't
had it
remember
written
what.
down.
I do. I thought
it
6,000
somewhere.
was going for the sign or something, we were putting, or was that the,
8,020.20, that's all it was.
That might have been 14, maybe it added up to that then.
I don't know,
I don't remember. I have it written down at home.
because there was only certain things you could use
So
it
now when you
on.
say the sign, I think on
Right.
that piece of paper, it was the pump sign
Sign.
and O'Brien.
Yeah.
And then that would have added up to about $14,000.
Oh, okay.
Because we had tabs on it for a while, and then we were writing it, and then
Mhm.
somewhere along, we kept losing the amounts somewhere.
Okay. All right, then.
It's got to be somewhere.
Okay.
But it's all spent out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I thought that we had to have it spent out by X date.
Okay.
But it should be, I mean, it would be nice.
And our next meeting is when? Next Wednesday, at 4?
Okay.
5. Wasn't there a meeting at 5? Or no, next week is 4.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, we should make a motion for the PDC.
Four and four.
We don't do a resolution. We said we're doing the
Reviews.
resolution at the next meeting.
When are our
You, unless
reviews
you want
coming
to
up
do it.
that we're gonna do
Wednesday,
before the next meeting?
correct,
Okay.
at 4,
Mayor Levine, do we need a motion to approve the public utilities budget?
yes.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the public utilities budget for 2024 as presented,
I'll support it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
with the adjustment of those polls.
We already did the general, didn't we, at the meeting?
We're gonna do.
No,
We'll do it at the
resolution
next.
The next meeting.
At the next meeting. Yeah. All right,
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn at
I'll
5:45.
second it. Any further discussion? All in favor? There is we're all invited to get together in Nashua for Masaba Battalion Christmas party or something.